so let's bring in trial attorney Richard Roth into the picture here. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Hi, Julie. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Okay, let me ask you first of all, this defense strategy that we saw just a little bit ago, trying to discredit the coroner investigator, Elisa Fleek, she conceded that she made some mistakes, obviously, especially when it came to her note-taking, that she took the notes, she wrote the report, then she destroyed the notes. Did she do sloppy work, in your opinion?
She did work which was somewhat below par. Yes, she destroyed the notes. The thing that I find most remarkable is that she waited 2 years to report that the propofol was in the bag. She moved a syringe, which was by Michael Jackson's bedside. So, you know, these are things that you don't do as a coroner investigator. You don't move evidence. You don't wait to put things in reports. So, yes, I think that the defense scored mightily in actually showing that the coroner investigator didn't really do a thorough and proper job.
How does her sloppy job, though, relate to the effectiveness of the evidence that was found?
Well, that's what this is all about. At the end of the day, there's one issue in this case, and the issue is causation. What caused Michael Jackson's death? And what the prosecutor is going to say is no harm, no foul. On the other hand, the defense is going to say, wait a minute. Look at what happened here. We don't know where that propofol bottle was. She waited 2 years to put it to disclose in a report it was in the bag. Why was the syringe moved? Remember, the defense is pretty much their sole defense is that Michael self-injected or took orally either propofol or some other drug. So at the end of the day, this is just a seed, if you will, to defense to show that the sloppiness really can begin to create reasonable doubt. All they're trying to do is get that reasonable doubt. So it doesn't get them there, but it's a good start.
But let me ask you this, if we put it this way. The coroner's office said, look, he died of acute propofol intoxication. Dr. Murray has admitted that he administered propofol to Michael Jackson. I understand that they're going to try to say Michael Jackson did it himself, but all the other factors, some people might argue, and the prosecution might argue, all the other factors are there because of Dr. Murray. Had Dr. Murray not been there with the propofol, Michael Jackson may still be alive. Does that make a difference, or does it still make a difference as to, hey, if Michael Jackson injected himself, then Dr. Conrad Murray is absolved?
Well, it's very interesting because what's happening here is that I think the prosecutor did a marvelous job in showing all the negligence and all the wrongdoing by Dr. Murray. There's clearly a lot of wrongdoing. Failure to monitor, failure to have another doctor on board who knows how to prescribe these drugs. Remember, he's a cardiologist. A failure to be in the room, just a prescription of propofol, the 225 bottles that were ordered 2 months earlier. So clearly he was negligent. But what really happens here is now we're focusing on, we're digging a little deeper here. We're focusing on what happened the hour before Michael Jackson died. And without the fingerprints on a bottle, I believe it makes it harder for the defense. Yes, the prosecutor did maybe a sloppy job here or there, but where is the evidence? Where is that reasonable doubt, the prosecutor is going to argue, to show that Michael somehow took this in himself? It's a tough argument. I think it all is going to come down, frankly, to Dr. White. The defense has a marvelous expert, Dr. White, who's going to, we don't know what he's going to say, but what he may say is that really there's enough evidence to show Michael did this himself.
But even if Michael did this himself, and this is one of the things that I'm really curious about, I think there are 5 things, based on everything that people have said on Twitter and on my Facebook pages, there are 5 things that they can't get over. One, that Conrad Murray left Michael alone, that he didn't have the proper equipment to resuscitate, that he didn't immediately call 911, that he didn't disclose to doctors or EMTs that he had given Michael Jackson propofol, and that he used this outside a hospital setting. If Michael Jackson, clearly there was some unethical behavior here. I think most everybody will admit to that. But does that equate to homicide in this case? In your opinion, what do you think?
In my opinion, what the doctor did is outrageous. It is outrageous. It is, and for the 5 reasons you mentioned, and there are several others, you just don't do that. No doctor with a license should be allowed to do that. But now we have to hone in on what was the cause of Michael's death. There's one issue in this case. What caused his death? And the defense, because they understand how weak their case is to show that Dr. Murray really conducted himself properly, because he clearly didn't, is really trying to just spend as much time as they can on what was the actual basis upon which Michael died. I think it's going to be very interesting, because I do believe, and I agree with you 100%, the prosecutor did a marvelous job in showing how Dr. Murray just so fell below any reasonable standard in pretty much everything he did that it's hard not to convict him. We have to wait and see. It's going to be very interesting. This week we also have coming up, which is interesting, the 2-hour interview of Dr. Murray, which no one has heard. So that'll be a very interesting evidence, as well as Dr. White. But I do agree with you. It's very hard to overlook the insurmountable evidence the prosecutors have put forward.
When you've got all that evidence from the prosecution, can you give us a preview of Dr. White? I mean, what makes this expert so credible and engaging, and what makes you think that he's going to be the defense's key ticket here?
I think the reason why he's going to be the key ticket is because at the end of the day, he is going to testify as to the reasons why there could have been 4 times the amount of lorazepam in Michael's stomach. The reasons why there would be propofol in Michael Jackson's stomach. And he's going to presumably tell the jury that the reason why there is a good basis to conclude that somehow Michael couldn't get to sleep and either ingested it orally or gave himself a shot. Now understand, other than Dr. White, I've seen no evidence, no fingerprints, anything that says that. But the fact that there was a big score for the defense yesterday, the fact that they actually could prove or showed that there were abnormal amounts of drugs in Mr. Jackson's stomach is a good basis for Dr. White to sit there and say, you know what? Dr. Murray, maybe he did a few things wrong, but the cause of death here, because that's what this is about, the cause of death is not Dr. Murray's fault. It's really somebody else had to have ingested Michael Jackson, and the only other person could have been Michael Jackson. I'm not saying he's going to be successful, Christy, because it's a heck of a tough road to hoe, but that's what he's going to say.
All right, all right. Richard Roth, thank you for your insight, as always. It's good to see you this morning.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.